Hey, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is gonna be one of the games that I freaking played, and I can tell I was playing against a blatant cheater. Against this individual on freaking worldchess.com. Absolutely embarrassing and pathetic. So I'm gonna teach you on how to, number one, how to trade off pieces to force a cheater to show how out of scope they are with their cheating. Meaning by me putting myself in this type of position, only a very strong title mate, a Grandmaster, International Master, would be able to know how to convert this endgame flawlessly up 2 pawns, and with a bishop versus knight, and a pawn majority 2-3. But we're gonna get straight to it. I'm gonna show you the game, and let's get straight to it. And this is why I don't play more than 5 games a day, because I took 2 losses. So let's see. Let's go to games. And let's go against this fool. This guy decided to draw to get my final game off, to get my arena candidates in his master title, and then me. This is where I accidentally blundered my queen by mouse slipping in the middle of the board. And then freaking, let's see. Who's this guy? Yes, this guy. Which I lost the game and resigned. However, it says he resigned because he was they're doing an actual investigation now. You see how I have a couple mistakes. So we're gonna go over this. Okay. Crap. I'm struggling. Okay, number one. Regarding the cheating, obviously you gotta look at the profile, right? So me, after I see how well he's playing this theory as a 1600, I immediately check the profile. I'm like, okay, no one knows this Ruy Lopez theory this well. E4, E5, knight F3, knight C6, bishop E5, A6, pawn A4, B5, bishop B3, knight F6, and D4. Like most normal people do not continue to play book moves, and I was going to continue to do the Ruy Lopez theory here. Bishop to E7, bishop to B7, freaking. Eventually, rook to E1, kingside castle, maybe H6, many different ideas, and then I make my first mistake of the game that cheater absolutely punishes, and we're gonna look at this. Look at this: 59 games, 59 win rate, which obviously before was like literally, it says average 9 accuracy 96, and let's see how many games he plays per day. He plays all rapid. He plays the Caracan defense. He plays and Ruy Lopez. But he plays a bunch of different openings, but barely. Here freaking also to just let's go and see how do we. I gotta go to more games. How do I go games here? We're gonna look at the profile, right? You ask myself, so 98, 99, 98, 99, 98, 98, 97, 98, 99. But also pay attention how many games are being played today. He played 4 games at 99% accuracy in all different types of opening setups with different types of Sicilian defenses, from Sicilian defenses to Ruy Lopez to Italian game, and playing even from here too. All these different openings. No one plays this high of an accuracy knowing all these type of openings. Even me. And playing an opening like this too, the consistency, accuracy, and the amount of games he played today is not statistically possible. Right? Even myself, who gets average high 80s and low 90% accuracy, low 90s and high 80% accuracy consistently. Even me, I slip up. 0.9, 0.78, 98. You can tell by the profile, right? That's the first tip. But also, look at the opening book theory. No one plays this book theory and knows this deep amount of book theory and continues to go asymmetrical. Like, that doesn't make sense. Like, this is not a variation where you play the open Ruy Lopez. You believe the book move is either D4. Yeah, I believe it's either D4 castles or A4. Castles is probably here because it's rookie. I think it's D7 rook E1, if I remember correctly. Okay, it says error classifying move. Let's just wait. Right, because here d4. Yeah, oh, yep. d6, I believe, is correct. Yep, d6 is correct. Yep. Mercury on it. Yep, that's the correct theory. Yep, that's exactly this theory. Because I literally think I had a recording video about it was a similar variation to this, and I learned like both 25 books, both side top engine lines, and literally studied it for almost 2 hours. And then here it's like, you can either go here. You can go for more of a slow Italian type Ruy Lopez, or you can immediately burst the system motion like this. But the point is, no 1600, right? Knows this amount of Ruy Lopez theory. Like, no one knows this much this quickly, and knows to immediately go asymmetrical this time. Like, that's not how human players play. So immediately, I make my first map slip, and I completely slip. You see, my goal was to go here, and they continue to play the book. They continue to play book theory and play the book theory. d6, even though it locks in the bishop, you can eventually put your bishop here or here for the long term, or eventually even where you put your bishop on e2 and you kind of reroute, or no, you go here, and eventually these trons get traded, and you either go bishop here, and I believe the idea is if you decide to trade, you can go into a queen trade, or you can go bishop e2 and eventually try to reroute the queen this way and in this area. But I don't remember the exact line. So my first mistake, right, d5. That doesn't make sense because you're not playing a Grunfield type defense counter-strike pawn gambit in a Ruy Lopez position. That just doesn't make sense to the theme of the position, right? So immediately takes the pawn. I immediately step back to attack the bishop to get the bishop pair. Right? I get the bishop pair and I develop my bishop. Doing all the Ruy Lopez type theories. You see the theme and the ideals that I'm doing. Even though it's not the best engine lines, this is just the theory that I remember and know. So, right? Chops down my pawn structure. I push to kick the knight. Knight kicks back. Queen takes and centralizes. Attacks queen. Queen moves back to d1, which is not obviously not the best move. Probably the best move would be like, that would sound crazy. Queen e4, queen takes. Queen's I said, knight takes backwards, right? And I'm gonna go queen d8 because I'm like, man, look, I know that's not the best move I'm playing. Immediately he puts his knight in an outpost on double pawn structures, which is unique. I put my bishop e7, still following Ruy Lopez opening theory lines and themes and ideas, right? Knight to a5. I slide the bishop over to not lose the bishop pair because I want to dominate the light squares. f3, very solid move. Tempo again. I accept the trading off of the bishop pair, and I know that, number one, no human does this. No human does this in castles. That's absolute pandemonium. That is craziness. Especially with queens on the board. That is not human either. No human ever does that. Rook d file, rook b file, rook lift potentially to play. No, rook lift potentially to play off the bishop. Some ideas, right? c4. That's one of those moves where you can tell the goal is to restrict the light square bishop. You see how all these pawns are placed. No human would think to place these clustered pawn chains on light squares to purposely restrict the bishop and allow to be captured en passant to allow to undouble its pawn structure. Like, no one thinks that, which obviously I'm like, okay, let's see, right? So now we have a 2-3 pawn majority. I put my rook on the e file. Filing really opens opening themes, and still best move. I try to see. I'm like, okay, right? You want to fight for the light square and strike my bishop? I'm gonna have to fight. So you're not allowed to get this pawn thrust as easily, right? Rook e1. Queen triangulates over. King steps forward. Pawn pushes forward to restrict b4. Queen d2, and I say, okay, you know, enough is enough. I know this guy's cheating. There's no way, like, you block your bishop like that and put your queen there. Like, that's silliness. You don't do, like, that's silly, right? So I'm like, okay, let me trade off and test how bad is he cheating now. I know we're going to trade off rooks on the a file, and I'm completely structurally transform this position to a losing position because the knight is so much better than the bishop in this position. But I'm like, at this point, I already know he's cheating. I'm like, okay, I accept this reality. Rook takes, right? Knight captures bishop. The counter pin. Bishop steps to the side. Like, who thinks about putting the bishop there out of all, like, you have one, two, three, four, five, six options, and you decide to put your bishop here. Like, humanly, what is your bishop doing? Absolutely nothing. Like, why would you centralize your bishop there? Would most likely be more human is to target this fixed pawn weakness, right? Bishop f4 doesn't make any sense. Maybe just trying to cover all the squares. I don't know. I immediately capture back. Bishop steps here, which he decides. Oh, he maneuvers it. He wants to do that backwards, which you can just tell an engine is playing because of how restrictive the engine is playing. Like, you see how like a human here take, and maybe after the fact put the bishop here to guard these squares, but outside of that, that's silly. So we keep playing. King f7. I try to activate the king. Rook slides over. I attack the bishop. Rook, and look, he literally leaves his bishop hanging. Well, no, not bishop hanging, but understands the counter check and to force my king here, so eventually he has a tempo to save the bishop. And puts on a perfect outpost. Okay, man, maybe that's human light. I'll not offer a rook trade, right? And you see here, if you were human, they would most likely allow this trade of the position. Why? Because it's a clearly king and pawn winning endgame, where it's completely winning, right? I have this one like any real good player would trade off the pieces here. And that's another side, right? So knight f6, king stoots. I reroute my knight and then decide to put his bishop and grab my pawn. Okay, so I sit there. I'm like, okay, he's 2 pawns up. My minor piece is passive. I'm gonna resign. What are the keys of understanding how he's cheating? Number one, you see the time consistency, right? Like me, I'm playing at a time consistently because I understand the theory and the systems, and I have that metronome like practicing on opening theory, right? E4, E5, right? Knight f3, knight f6, bishop f5, a6. Here, here. Here you freaking probably over here, bishop. Yeah, you can. Yeah, and then me, I go to finish the Berlin defense move. Then freaking right d4, d5. Yeah, d3, d6. Right, because that's how the opening book theory goes. Then you would go castles, bishop e7, rook e1, castles, and then h6. You would and then you would go like here, and then freaking right. I believe you can go here, you can go here, here, or you can go. You can either go or you can go queen. I believe it's this, right? Because takes, and then like bishop here. Which, okay, that's not the correct move. Then what's the better move here? I think not. I think, yeah. I think rook e1's better because yes, the rook e8, and then yep, then that's this. Yep, that's the right move order. But you see how I'm playing the move so fast. I know majority of this theory and understand it, even though I have a slight inaccuracy in the move orders. I understand the closed Morphy defense. I understand the process and the themes, the ideas. That's why the time consistency is so open in the opening, right? Here, I'm just like, okay, I follow the opening theme ideas, continue to follow opening theme ideas, decide to centralize my queen because it's a free pawn. Central theme ideas, not this theme idea. I completely missed this idea because I wanted to target that pawn, and basically the fact is just look at how he plays 3-4 seconds every single time. I mean, when I sit here, I'm thinking, okay, I gotta wait, at least think for a minute. What are my options here? Like, I know that my knight square bishop is garbage, and that's why it took so long to calculate. But really, to summarize everything, time metronome music, looking at the profile, understanding what is the norm for a 1600. They don't know this much about the Ruy Lopez. Only title players, international master, maybe FIDE masters know this deep about the opening book theory, theme ideas, and endgame conversion. Like, no, like, if you tell me, right, this here, that this was a 1600, I don't believe it. This also gives it away too because of what any real player would take away the advantage and win the king and pawn game to simplify the position. What a human would do, human would literally just probably move the king over. But of course, theoretically it's an inaccuracy, but still the king gets to invade, right? Like, here it's still completely hold. It's still completely lost for me. One mistake. 3-2. Lost pawn, and the counterplay. Only I could possibly do is try to run by and get counterplay on the opposite side of the board and go for a pawn promotion race, which will win this pawn promotion weight because this pawn is 2 weeks. These pawn islands are too much. Right, so that's how you spot a cheater. Time consistency, statistic anomalies, and also trading off pieces intentionally to make the converting position to prove like this is not the statistic pool rating where I purposely trade off pieces this way to simply show like how obvious it is in this game, right? So, I mean, that's really it. Outside of that, I bored this guy, and I could tell like honestly if I turn off the engine and everything here, okay, I could tell okay this is slightly off. Like I could tell okay this is okay him punishing that okay that's reasonable, right? Him developing his knight there, doubling his pawns, right? Here seems a little bit inhuman, a tiny bit, because no one can damage their king structure. This was slightly suspicious. This knight moving this quickly here also was slightly suspicious too, right? I allowed the queen trade, a castle, and this what really gave it away to me. I'm like, okay, no one at 1600 forces an en passant trade to undouble their pawn structure and to eventually liquidate rooks and to restrict my bishop and to play off that. Like, no 1600 does that while pawn up. Like, no one thinks of that idea. When a 1600 would probably play here, I mean, take the open file, right? Take the open file, or not there, because that's not, or maybe even like freaking queen d3 to put pressure on this pawn. Like, not even there. Not probably queen d2 because it would create a great battery, or just simply like develop the bishop, right? Rook here, rook to the center. Queen may try to put pressure on this file. I don't know, but immediately after this, when I see her, I'm like, okay, yeah, I had to go through move by move. Okay, what am I gonna do here? I know White's idea, but there's nothing I can do to stop it. I know my bishop is terrible. I know the king doesn't castle in this type of position when the queens are on the board, right? So that's why I purposely trade off my queen. I purposely trade off my rooks to force my opponent to look like a 2500 Grandmaster, converting flame flawlessly in an endgame position while up one pawn. But that's all. You guys have a great rest of your day. I hope you learned something new, and goodbye.